The night it all started, there was already something in the air. One of those nights where the world just feels off, like a storm's about to break but the sky is too damn clear for it to make sense. I didn't know what was coming, but my gut did. It had been screaming at me for weeks. Jessica walked into the living room, wearing a dress I hadn't seen before. Tight, short, the kind of thing she used to wear when we first started dating, back when she actually gave a damn what I thought. She was on her phone, smirking at something on the screen, barely acknowledging me. "Heading out," she said, like it was an afterthought. "Where?" That smirk deepened. She looked up from her phone just long enough to make sure I saw it. "Party."
Ist here.
"Who's throwing a party on a Tuesday?" She laughed, like I'd said something stupid. Does it matter? It mattered. It mattered because she was acting like she wanted me to ask. She was dangling something in front of me, waiting to see if I'd bite. And then she threw the match into the gasoline. "It's at Brandon's." I didn't move. Not a twitch. That was the only reaction she wasn't expecting. I could see it in the way her expression flickered, just for a split second, before she masked it with boredom. Brandon, the ex, the one who, according to her, had been just a stupid mistake back when we got together. The one she swore she had zero contact with. I could have asked 100 things. Why now? Why him? Why the hell she thought this was okay? But I didn't give her the satisfaction. I just leaned back, keeping my face unreadable. "All right," I said. Jessica blinked. She wasn't expecting that. She was expecting a fight, maybe even hoping for one. She grabbed her clutch, sliding her phone inside. "Don't wait up." I didn't, because the second she was out that door I got to work. Jessica thought she had control of this game, but she didn't know I'd already flipped the board over. This wasn't the first time I'd felt something was off. There were too many late nights, too many excuses. I wasn't an idiot, and I wasn't about to sit around being played like one. So while she was busy thinking she was teaching me some kind of lesson by spending the night at her ex's, I was tearing through the truth like a blade through paper. I pulled out my laptop, opened her email. Nothing. But she wasn't dumb enough to leave evidence there. Her texts, though? That was another story. I'd seen her typing in her passcode before. People always think they're careful, but muscle memory betrays them. I didn't need to be a hacker. I just needed to have been paying attention. 4 digits later, I was in. And what I found made my vision go red. There weren't just messages. There were photos, videos, and they weren't old. The timestamps were fresh. She hadn't just started talking to Brandon again. She had never stopped as I stared at the screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. Message after message, photo after photo. Jessica hadn't just reconnected with Brandon. She had never let him go. This wasn't some innocent party. This wasn't a one-time thing. This had been going on for months, maybe even longer. I scrolled up, my fingers shaking with fury. November, October, August. Their conversations stretched back so far I felt sick. And the worst part? They weren't even hiding it. They laughed about me, about how I was too trusting, about how she could do whatever she wanted, and I wouldn't suspect a thing. "He still has no clue, lol. You're really getting away with this?" "Of course. He's so predictable." I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. Predictable? I kept reading. "I'll be there all night. He won't even ask." She had planned this. This whole night, this whole stunt was a test. She wanted to see if I'd stop her, if I'd fight for her. Maybe she thought I'd beg. Maybe she thought I'd lose my temper and do something reckless so she could turn it all on me. She had no idea who she was playing with. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. My first instinct was to burn everything down, to drive to that party and put an end to this whole circus in the loudest, most brutal way possible. But no, that's what she wanted. A scene. Drama. Something she could twist into me being the problem. No, if she wanted a show, I was going to give her one. Just not the one she expected. I picked up my phone and made a call. "Hey man," I said when the voice on the other end picked up. "You still up?" My best friend, Ryan, answered groggily. "Yeah, what's up? You still have that truck?" There was a pause. Then, "Yeah, why?" "Meet me at my place in an hour," I said. "I need to move some stuff." I could hear the confusion in his voice, but he didn't ask questions. That's the thing about real friends. They don't need explanations. I hung up and got to work. First, I packed. Not my things. Hers. Every drawer, every closet, every little expensive piece of jewelry I had bought her. I yanked open cabinets, grabbed every single thing that belonged to her, and shoved it into suitcases. Clothes? Gone. Makeup? Gone. Shoes, perfume, even the stupid framed pictures she had insisted we hang up. Gone. By the time Ryan pulled up, my living room looked like a luggage store had exploded inside it. He stepped inside, eyes widening. Dude, what the hell? Help me load this up. I cut in. Ryan hesitated, but he knew better than to push when I was like this. We started hauling the suitcases out, dumping them into the back of his truck. The whole time my mind raced. What next? Where was the best place to leave all this? My first thought was her parents' house, but no. She could spin that too easily. Then I had an idea. Perfect idea. Once we had everything packed up, I grabbed my phone again, and this time I sent a text. To Jessica. Hope you're having fun. You'll love what's waiting for you when you get home. Then I smiled. Let her enjoy her little party. She had no idea that the real one was waiting for her right here. Ryan drove while I stared out the window, watching the city lights blur past. The adrenaline had settled into something colder now. Not rage, not grief, just a sharp, biting clarity. I knew exactly what I was doing. Jessica thought she had everything under control. She thought she could dance between two lives, pulling the strings, making me the fool. But she was about to learn what happens when you push the wrong man too far. We pulled up to the first stop. A sleek, upscale apartment building. Jessica's best friend, Molly, lived here. Ryan gave me a sideways glance. You sure about this? I grabbed one of the suitcases from the truck bed and hauled it toward the door. Absolutely. Molly had been Jessica's partner in crime for as long as I could remember. The kind of friend who encouraged bad decisions and talked about men like we were all disposable. I'd never trusted her. And judging by the texts I found, I had been right. She had known about Brandon. Probably helped Jessica cover it up. I hit the buzzer. Static. Then, a groggy voice. Hello. It's me. Open up. A pause. Then a click. I took the elevator up, the suitcase handle gripped in my fist like a weapon. Molly cracked the door, blinking at me. Messy bun, oversized hoodie. She'd clearly been asleep. What the hell are you doing here? I smiled, stepping forward. Delivery. I shoved the suitcase into her hands. Molly staggered back. What the? Jessica's stuff, I said, stepping past her into the apartment. Figured since you love being involved in my marriage so much, you wouldn't mind helping out with this part too. Molly's mouth opened, but no words came out. For once, I dropped the second suitcase inside the door. Oh, and tell her she can pick up the rest at Brandon's. Since that's where she's spending the night, right? Molly's expression flickered. Just a brief moment of guilt before she masked it with fake outrage. You're insane. You can't just. I turned on my heel and walked out. Ryan was waiting by the truck, arms crossed. Damn, he muttered. That was cold. I smirked. We're just getting started. The next stop was even better. Jessica had a favorite cafe, the kind of place she practically lived at, always posting her little aesthetic lattes and brunches on Instagram. It was also where she had spent plenty of time texting Brandon. I walked right in, suitcase in tow, past the handful of customers still lingering this late. The barista recognized me. Hey, isn't that Jessica's? I cut him off with a smile. Yeah, thought I'd drop off some stuff for her. She loves this place, right? Then I left the suitcase right there. Ryan was laughing when I got back in the truck. You're ruthless, man. I just shrugged. She wanted attention. Let's give her some. We made one more stop. Brandon's place. The house was lit up, music blasting, the party was still going strong. Cars lined the street. I could see her car parked in the driveway. Perfect. Ryan shifted beside me. What's the plan here? I took my time answering. Because I had options. So many options. I could walk in and humiliate her. I could wait until she staggered out and let her see exactly what she had lost. I could do so many things. Instead, I popped the trunk, and I grabbed the last suitcase. Hold this, I said, handing my phone to Ryan. He frowned. What for? I grinned. Record this. I walked right up to the front door, and then, without hesitation, I rang the bell. The bass thumped behind the door. Laughter, shouting, the unmistakable sound of a house party in full swing. It was almost poetic. Jessica inside, thinking she was on top of the world, while I stood outside, ready to rip it all apart. Ryan had the camera rolling. I could feel it, the weight of the moment, the tension so thick I could almost hear the seconds stretching out. The door swung open. Some guy I didn't recognize stood there, drink in hand, red Solo cup dangling between his fingers. He was already halfway through some drunken greeting when he froze, eyes flicking down to the suitcase at my feet, then up to me. Can I help you? I smiled. Yeah, I'm here to drop something off for Jessica. The guy's eyebrows furrowed. He turned his head over his shoulder, calling back into the house.
Yo, yes.
Some dude's here for you. The second he said it, I heard her laugh from inside. That careless, cruel little laugh. The one she used when she was feeling smug. Then her voice. Tell him I'm busy. Ryan let out a quiet oath. I didn't flinch, didn't react, just picked up the suitcase and stepped inside. The guy tried to stop me, a half-hearted hey man. But I was already moving. I walked right through that house like I owned the place. Heads turned. People whispered. The air shifted because they knew. Some recognized me. Some just knew that whatever was about to happen was going to be good. And then I saw her, Jessica, sitting on the couch, Brandon's arm draped around her shoulders. She wasn't even looking at me yet. She was looking at her phone, probably texting me some fake excuse about why she'd be home late, while she let him pull her closer. Ryan whispered behind the camera. No way. No fking way. I didn't say a word. I just walked right up and dropped the suitcase at her feet. Thud. Jessica flinched at the sound. Then slowly she looked up, and I watched it happen. The shift, the confusion, then realization, then pure frozen panic. Hope you're having fun, I said. My voice was steady, calm, too calm. Because you're not coming home. Silence. The whole party had gone quiet. Someone whistled. Brandon straightened up, frowning. Dude, what's your problem? I smiled. You, mostly. But don't worry, I'm fixing that. Jessica scrambled to her feet, stepping toward me. Listen, I can explain. I held up a hand. She shut up. I don't need an explanation, Jess. I read the messages. Boom. That was it. That was the kill shot. Her mouth opened, closed. Her whole face drained of color. Brandon's grip on his drink tightened. People started murmuring. The weight of humiliation pressed down on her. Hey man, maybe we should take this outside, Brandon said, standing up. I turned my head just enough to look at him. Or maybe you should sit the FK down. His jaw clenched. I saw it, the flicker of fight in his eyes. But he wasn't stupid. Not here. Not now. Jessica grabbed my arm. Big mistake. Let's talk, she whispered, desperate now. Privately. I pulled away, shaking my head. Nah. You wanted public. You wanted a show. I gestured to the room. So enjoy it. Then I turned to the crowd. You guys want to know the best part? I called out. They leaned in. I lifted my phone, tapped the screen, the texts, the proof, broadcasted to every curious, watching eye. Jessica let out a choked noise, her hands flew to her mouth. And then someone started laughing, loud, mocking, then another, then more. And suddenly, Jessica was standing in the center of the wreckage. Brandon backed away from her. People pulled out their own phones, whispering. She had nowhere to run. I turned for the door, Ryan following close behind. Before I stepped out, I glanced over my shoulder, just once. Have a good night, Jess. Then I left. Ryan and I walked out of the house, but the chaos inside kept going. Even as the door swung shut behind us, I could still hear the voices. Jessica's frantic protests, Brandon cursing, people laughing, whispers spreading like wildfire. She was done. Ryan was grinning like an idiot. Bro, I don't even have words. That was some cold-blooded, main character, revenge movie level SHT. I exhaled, my chest rising and falling as the last of the adrenaline settled. But I wasn't done yet, because I knew Jessica, and she wasn't going down without a fight. We got back in the truck. Ryan handed me my phone, still recording. What now? Now? I checked the time. It was past midnight. Now we wait. He raised an eyebrow. For what? I locked eyes with him. For her to realize how badly she fed up. It didn't take long. 20 minutes. That's how fast it happened. Jessica had stormed out of the party. I knew, because her car came flying down the street, braking so hard in front of the house I thought she'd take out the damn mailbox. Ryan's hands tightened on the wheel. Oh, SHT. I leaned back, watching as she stumbled out of the car. Messy hair, smeared lipstick, panic in her eyes. She looked wrecked, like she had just lost control of the entire world and didn't know what to do with herself. And then she saw me. Boom. Target locked. Jessica marched toward the truck. Arms swinging, face twisted in rage, heels clicking against the pavement. I didn't move, didn't say a word. Ryan let out a low whistle. Here we go. She reached my side of the truck and slammed her hands on the door. What the FK is wrong with you? I turned my head slowly, met her eyes. Calm, unshaken, untouchable. Excuse me? You humiliated me, she shrieked, her voice cracking. In front of everyone. I stared at her for a long moment. Then I said, No, Jess, you humiliated yourself. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see it. Her face twisted like she wanted to slap me. Ryan leaned out the driver's side, shaking his head. You should probably step back, Jess. You're embarrassing yourself even more. She ignored him. Let me inside, she demanded. I need to talk to you. Alone. I sighed, shaking my head. You're not coming inside, Jess. Your stuff's already gone. Check Molly's place. Check your favorite cafe. I made sure you'd have options. Her eyes widened. She took a step back, chest rising and falling like she was just realizing how far this had already gone. Then her expression shifted. The rage softened and the act began. Her face crumpled. Her bottom lip trembled. She blinked up at me, voice breaking. The crocodile tears. Baby, we can fix this, she whispered. I almost laughed. You spent the night at your ex's house, Jessica. My voice was steady. You planned this. You told him I was a joke, that I'd never leave, that I'd always forgive you. Her eyes flickered. That one got her. Shut up. She did. I leaned in slightly, dropping my voice just enough that it hit like a razor blade. You thought you were teaching me a lesson, I murmured. But the only person who got schooled tonight was you. Jessica's breath hitched. Her tears vanished. Just like that. She knew it was over. I nodded toward her car. Now go, Jess. Go figure out who you really are when no one's playing along with your bullst anymore. For a second, I thought she might fight back one last time. But then, something in her snapped. Her body stiffened. Her face twisted with pure hate. And then, she spat at my feet. I didn't even flinch. She turned on her heel, stormed back to her car, and peeled off into the night. Ryan exhaled, shaking his head. That was insane. I just watched the taillights disappear. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. The silence in the truck was thick. The kind that wraps around you after a storm, when the last thunderclap has faded, but the air still crackles with everything that just happened. Ryan let out a slow breath, gripping the wheel. Dude, that was... I know. I rubbed my jaw, feeling the tension still coiled in my muscles. She really thought she could flip it on me. Ryan shook his head, still in awe. That switch-up was wild. From screaming banshee to Oscar-worthy heartbreak in 10 seconds. And when you shut her down, man, I almost felt bad. I snorted. Don't. And I didn't. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt nothing for her. No love.
No regret.
Not even anger anymore. She had burned through everything. Every last ounce of goodwill. And now she had nothing left. But I knew Jessica. She wasn't done. She might have driven off tonight. But this wasn't over for her. Not yet. Ryan checked his phone. Where to now? I exhaled, staring out the windshield. The city lights blurred past, the streets emptying as the night stretched on. My house was waiting for me, but something told me I wasn't going back there just yet. I needed to breathe. Drive, I muttered. I don't care where, just drive. Ryan nodded and pulled onto the highway. We ended up at a 24-hour diner. One of those old-school joints with checkered floors and neon lights that buzzed faintly. It smelled like coffee and fried food, and for the first time that night I realized I was starving. We slid into a booth. The waitress barely looked up as she poured us coffee. Ryan stretched, letting out a low whistle. "Dude, you really just blew up your whole marriage in one night." "Not a marriage," I corrected. "A lie." He nodded, drumming his fingers on the table. "So what now?" That was the real question, wasn't it? Because it wasn't just about Jessica. It was about what came next. I stared down at my coffee. "Tomorrow I'm filing." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Divorce?" I nodded. He let out a low chuckle. "She's gonna lose her mind." "She already has," I muttered. And I wasn't wrong. Because while we sat in that quiet diner, Jessica was already plotting her next move. At 3:42 a.m., my phone buzzed. Ryan and I were still at the diner, finishing up our food when I checked the screen. "Jessica." "Of course." I showed Ryan the phone. He raised an eyebrow. "Here we go," I answered, keeping my voice even. "What?" First there was just silence. Then a breath. A shaky, unsteady breath. "Baby," she whispered. I closed my eyes. "Here we go. You win, okay?" Her voice cracked, soft, desperate. "You made your point. I messed up. God, I don't even know what I was thinking. I need you to talk to me. Please." I said nothing. "You can't just throw me away," she pleaded. "We've been through too much. You love me. I know you do." I took a slow sip of my coffee. Then, calmly, I said, "I don't." Dead silence. Then a sharp inhale. Jessica had spent years thinking she had control, that she could push me, pull me, twist my emotions however she wanted. But she had never once prepared herself for the day I'd simply let go. "You don't mean that," she whispered. I leaned back in my seat. "Ido." More silence. Then her voice hardened, turned cold. "So that's it," she snapped. "You just throw me out like trash? After everything. You threw yourself out," I said simply. "I just cleaned up the mess." Ryan let out a quiet laugh, shaking his head. Jessica's breath hitched. "Fine," she spat. "You think you're so strong? You think you're gonna be happy without me? You'll be miserable. You're nothing without me." I smiled. "Guess we'll find out." Then I hung up. And this time I didn't feel a damn thing. The next morning, I woke up to 26 missed calls. Jessica had snapped. I wasn't surprised. I'd seen the way her mind worked, the way she twisted things, rewrote reality to fit her version of events. Last night she had begged. When that didn't work, she had threatened. And now she was desperate. I scrolled through my notifications. Missed calls. 12 voicemails. Dozens of texts. I opened the first one. "Jessica, you don't get to just erase me like this. Call me." Then another. "Jessica, I'm serious. If you don't answer, you're going to regret it." I smirked. There it was. The real Jessica slipping through the cracks. And then the next message popped up. "Jessica, I told your job you've been stealing from them. Good luck explaining that one." I froze. What the hell? A slow, burning rage coiled in my chest. My job, my career, was something I had built from the ground up. I had put in years of work, climbed through hell to get where I was. And now she was trying to burn it all down. I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. This was a bluff. A wild, reckless move because she had nothing else left. But just to be sure, I made a call. It rang twice before my boss picked up. "Hello. Hey, it's me. Just checking in. Has anyone called you about me recently?" A pause. Then a sigh. "Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but since you asked." My grip on the phone tightened. "And some woman called. Said you'd been stealing, covering up expenses." Sounded kinda unhinged, honestly. We knew it was bullshit, but we had to file a report just to cover our bases. I closed my eyes. "Jesus Christ." "Look, don't stress about it," my boss continued. "We know it's nonsense. I already told HR to ignore it." Relief flooded through me, but right underneath it, pure cold fury. Jessica had just crossed a line she couldn't come back from. I hung up and immediately dialed her number. She answered on the first ring. "Oh, now you care enough to call?" She sneered. "Jessica," I said, my voice dead calm. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." She laughed. "Oh, please. You think you can just humiliate me and get away with it? You think there won't be consequences?" I let the silence stretch. Let her hear the weight of her own words. Then I spoke. "Jessica, I was ready to walk away. I was ready to let you keep whatever scraps of dignity you had left. But you just showed me who you really are." She hesitated. Just for a second. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said, slow and deliberate, "that I'm done playing nice." Jessica scoffed. "What are you gonna do, huh? Cry? Post more texts? You think anyone's gonna care?" I smiled. She couldn't see it, but she could hear it. Feel it.
No, Jessica, y murmurat.
"I'm going to destroy you." Silence. And for the first time since this started, she sounded scared. "You're bluffing," she whispered. "Try me," I said. Then I hung up, and I got to work. Jessica thought she was untouchable. She thought she could burn my life down and walk away without a scratch. She had no idea that I was about to turn her whole world to ash. I started with the one thing she valued most. Her reputation. Jessica thrived on attention. She built her entire identity on being flawless, envied, adored. Social media, her kingdom. She wasn't just active. She lived for it. The curated Instagram posts, the carefully crafted tweets, the endless thirst for validation. So I hit her where it hurt. I opened my laptop, took a deep breath, and uploaded everything. Every text, every lie, every screenshot of her laughing behind my back, bragging about how easily she played me. And then I tagged her. I didn't add a caption. I didn't need one. The truth spoke for itself. Then I sat back and waited. It took exactly 32 minutes before the first detonation. Jessica called. I let it ring. Then another call. Then another. 10 missed calls in a row. Then the texts started flooding in. "Jessica, what the hell is wrong with you? Jessica, take that down right now. Jessica, I swear to God, I didn't even bother responding. I just watched. And God, was it beautiful. The comments section exploded. Wait, she cheated and bragged about it? LMAO, she deserves everything coming her way. So she publicly humiliated him. But now she's mad that he exposed her? Boo-hoo. Girl, I hope your next Brandon is worth it, because you just lost everything. She was done. But I wasn't finished yet. Jessica's next move was predictable. She went full meltdown mode. First, she tried to defend herself. Posted a long, dramatic notes app apology on Instagram. Something about mistakes were made. This is a private matter. We both have things to work on. Nobody bought it. Then, she turned on me. She posted a video, eyes red, voice trembling. "I never meant to hurt him," she sniffled, playing the victim. "This whole thing has been blown way out of proportion. He's trying to ruin my life. And you know what? For the first time, she was right, because I wasn't done yet." Jessica had one last safety net. Her job. She worked in PR. Public relations. The career where your image is everything. So I made a call. Not to her job. To a reporter. I kept it short, sweet, and factual. Jessica, last name, has been orchestrating a smear campaign against her husband after getting caught cheating. I have receipts. And then I attached the screenshots of her false accusations against me. It didn't take long before someone bit. The headline went up that afternoon. Local PR manager exposed in cheating scandal. Attempts to destroy husband's career. Jessica's job saw it. And the next thing I knew, her LinkedIn profile was deleted. She had been fired. Ryan called me as soon as the news hit. "Bro." His voice was breathless. "Bro, you ended her." I smirked, sipping my coffee. She ended herself. Because that was the truth, wasn't it? Jessica had always thought she was the main character. That she could do whatever she wanted, hurt whoever she wanted, and never face consequences. But this time, she lost. And for the first time in a long, long time, I sat back, watching it all unfold like a perfectly scripted movie. Jessica was in free fall. Her job, gone. Her reputation? Shredded. Her little fantasy world where she was the untouchable queen, playing me for a fool while keeping Brandon on the side? Destroyed. And now she had nothing left but the wreckage. Ryan sent me a link. Jessica went private. All her social media accounts locked down. The public backlash had been brutal. Her comment sections were a war zone. Her old friends turning on her. Her loyal followers disappearing one by one. She thought she could control the narrative. But now, the narrative controlled her. And then, just when I thought she might finally disappear, she showed up. It was late. The house was quiet. I was sitting on the couch, staring at the divorce papers I had picked up earlier that day. And then a knock. I already knew who it was. I didn't move, just let the silence drag out. Then another knock. Harder. Desperate. I stood, slowly making my way to the door. My heart wasn't pounding. My hands weren't shaking. I was calm, because this time I was in control. I opened the door, and there she was, Jessica. She looked wrecked, mascara smudged, hair wild, face hollow with exhaustion. This wasn't the woman who had walked out of my house smirking, laughing, thinking she had won. This was someone who had lost everything. I leaned against the doorframe. "You look like hell." She swallowed, her throat working. "Can I come in?" I tilted my head, pretending to think about it. Then I laughed. Jessica flinched. "Not a chance," I said. Her lips parted. "Baby, please." I crossed my arms. "That's funny. A few nights ago, I was nothing without you. Now you're at my door at—" I checked my watch. 11:43 at night. Begging. Her face crumpled. The act began. "I lost my job," she whispered. "I lost everything." I nodded. "Sounds rough." Her eyes flickered with frustration. "Do you even care?" That made me smile. Really smile. Because I didn't. Not anymore. I leaned in just enough to watch her breath hitch. "You didn't care when you were lying to me. You didn't care when you were in his bed. You didn't care when you tried to destroy me." Jessica bit her lip, tears brimming. "Fake. People won't hire me now," she said shakily. "Brandon won't even talk to me. Now that was funny." I barked out a laugh. "Oh, you thought he'd save you?" I gave her a slow, mocking once-over. "You were never special to him, Jess. Just convenient." She flinched. I saw it, the moment she realized she had truly, finally lost. Her eyes darted past me, toward the house. "What are you looking for?" I asked, voice cold. She swallowed hard. "Us." There was a time, not long ago, where that would have wrecked me. Where I would have let her words dig into my ribs, twist in my gut, make me doubt myself. Not anymore. "There is no us," I said simply. Her breath hitched. "I love you." I laughed again. "Jessica?" I said, voice full of mock pity. "You don't even know what love is." A single tear slid down her cheek. She waited for me to react. I didn't. She swayed forward, like she might try to touch me, might try to make me believe she still had some power over me. I stepped back, away from her. And that was the final nail in the coffin. Jessica staggered. Her face crumpled. She took a slow, shuddering breath, then turned on her heel. She didn't say another word, just walked away. I didn't watch her go. I didn't close the door slowly, dramatically, like in a movie. I slammed it shut. And this time it was me who walked away. The next morning I woke up to silence. No missed calls.
No texts.
No more desperate attempts to rewrite the past. Jessica was gone. For real this time. I stood in the middle of my house. My house, not ours anymore, and breathed in the quiet. The kind of quiet that felt like a reset. Like a door had been shut on an entire chapter of my life. It wasn't relief exactly. It wasn't even victory. It was just peace. Ryan called around noon. "So, how does it feel?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I don't feel anything," I admitted. "And that's the best part." He let out a low whistle.
Man.
"A week ago she had you in hell. Now she's the one drowning." I grabbed the divorce papers from the table, flipping through them one last time. "Yeah, and I'm about to make it official." At 3 p.m., I filed for divorce. At 3:15 p.m., I changed the locks. At 3:30 p.m., I sent one last message to Jessica. "The papers are filed. Sign them and move on. This is over.
No emotion.
No last words. Just a fact. She didn't respond. Not that day. Not the next. Not at all. Days passed. Then weeks. I heard bits and pieces through mutual friends. Jessica was struggling. No job.
No stability.
No one left to manipulate. Brandon had dumped her the second the backlash hit. People stopped inviting her places. Her social media was dead. She was truly alone. Did I feel bad? Not even a little, because Jessica had built her world on lies. And when the truth came out, it swallowed her whole. One night, about a month later, Ryan and I grabbed drinks. We sat at the bar, watching a basketball game on TV, letting the past fade into the background. At one point, Ryan glanced over at me, smirking. You ever think about what you'd say to her if she showed up right now? I took a sip of my drink, considering it. Then I shrugged. Nothing. Ryan laughed. Damn, that's cold. Nah, I said, setting my glass down. That's freedom.